Greetings to your family. This is part 3 of One Meal a Day. There was a certain aspect that I forgot to mention, so I just want to cover it now. This will be pretty brief, just about the time that we should eat, and then I'll go a little bit into obesity. But again, we always want to start off with our chief teacher, professor, guide, Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the beautiful book, How to Eat to Live. I just want to read a paragraph. Actually, I just took that pen out. I might have lost it. Oh, no, I do have it. And I'll just read this. It's from chapter 11, which is titled The Key to Better Health. I'll read just a paragraph to you, just to lay the base of what I want to deal with. He says, 1 meal a day and nothing between that one meal will get you a longer life. That is, if you eat the proper food. We make ourselves sick. Do not think that sickness is something that just comes by itself, regardless to how we live. It is the way we live that makes us sick. I have experienced these things. If we do not eat the right foods to live and do not eat it at the time that we should eat it and eat before it is time, we will not live long. Now we went over 1 meal a day and digestion and things like that, but we didn't. I forgot actually to go over the time that we should eat and why it's just important that should be like a routine thing. What the messenger states is that the best time to eat the one meal is between 4 to 6, and then he says that, however, you want to eat that meal at the same time each day. So the point to that is that your body is, with all the processes that we've explained, the body is trying to balance itself out in terms of being in sync, and that's timing. So timing is everything. Obviously, timing is important. If you want to be at a certain area to do a certain thing, the timing has to be correct. So once you get yourself used to eating 1 meal a day, you want to make sure, or at least do your best to try to make sure that you eat that meal at the same time each day, so that once the body begins to call for food at that specific time, you can already be prepared or in the process of being prepared to make sure that that calling is answered. So the timing is specific, like with your vehicle. Most people, you have like what's called a timing belt. So what that does is that just synchronizes a lot of or certain electrical aspects of the vehicle with the mechanical part or side of it, so that once you turn that key, the timing and everything fits right, boom, and then the engine turns over. And then you can, you drive off and, you're perfect. So the body is the same in terms of timing. You want to make sure that the timing of when you eat is right and exact and that you have that set. And then there's a deeper aspect that Brother Jabril goes into when he explains the certain times, like of the day that we eat. Because for me, I eat past that time, the 4 to 6. I'm not gonna say because I might get in trouble, but it's late. It's late. It was just how I was set up, with what I had going on in my daily life, the routine that I was into. I didn't have free time until later on, and then I knew the way that I eat. It takes time, so I couldn't find the right timing on what I had going on in my daily life. So it was later than that time, and you can feel it. You can feel it. It's more of a deeper science going into how the body is reacting, in terms of time and what they call the biological clock. So I don't want to cover that here. I just want to make the point that, like the messenger stated, that we have to eat the proper foods and then at the right time, and for the most part that's midday. Midday in terms of like 4 to 6, dinner time. Most American families, I looked it up a little while ago, they eat around in between 4 to 7. So that's that's well within that time frame of that. And in the last video, in part 2, I talked about a little bit, just briefly, about digestion and then obesity. I did want to just go briefly into obesity and toxins and things that can happen when we begin to eat too much food and then take on the wrong foods. What happens in the body is, or one of the ways that the body also shields itself from toxins, is that it stores toxins in fat cells. So the difficult part about that is there's two types of toxins. Those that are what they call water soluble, meaning the body can get rid of those pretty easily, and then those that are what they call fat soluble. Those are usually your food preservatives, heavy metals, additives to food, environmental chemicals. So the body, remember before we talked about the respiratory system and then also digestion. So the body takes on all these different environmental chemicals, and whether it be food, air that you breathe in, the body then equates whatever the level of purity that is to, if it can be registered as toxic or usable. And the difficult part about having too much, consuming too much, doing too much of even good food and then bad food is that the body then turns that into toxin, and then it begins to produce fat cells to store it. Now obviously, you can kind of get the picture that this is, a lot of this, it will become overworking or overburdening the body. So then it just produces more fat cells. Now even if you eat good food 2 and 3 times a day, it's still too much for the body to break down in terms of digestion. So then the only thing that it does is, before it gets to the point, even in the body, of spoiling, the body then produces fat cells to store it. So we begin to get bigger. Even if so that's like I said, like if it's good food, organic, or fruits and vegetables all day. Then if you also eat bad foods, now you have a whole different host of issues that can come, because the primary fat-soluble toxins are food preservatives, chemicals in the air, food additives, and heavy metals. So you look at that, and the liver is designed to try to, like we spoke about before, inactivate and remove toxins. But if this becomes overburdened, then the body then sends those fat-soluble cells with just pure toxin. It then starts to send those all over the body. And so then they just become stored, because they travel through the blood. So they become stored everywhere, in the brain and the fatty tissues on all your organs. And then you figure, once these, if they are to be released, or once we, let's say we change our lifestyle, we try to eat better and we do certain things, once these fat-soluble toxins are released, that's releasing toxins into our body. And that's a big thing why obesity and I know some people go with the big bone thing. Yeah, I don't really know too much about that, but I do know how the body reacts to certain foods that we eat, and then what happens after that process. So the best thing that we can do is at least investigate a little bit in terms of 1 meal a day. Let's just take a look into it. If you can, like I said, the chief study is the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And hands down. You can do other supporting information with the intermittent fasting, and then I think it was called the warrior diet that the Greeks and some of them did, that they learned from what you call Africans, just black people. But yeah, so obesity and how fats are stored or are used to store toxins in the body. I just want us to also look at obesity and overweight as not just a condition of, somebody's just eating too much in there. I mean, a lot of this stuff on a chemical level, it's causing serious problems to us. So it's not just to try to slim down and one meal a day because, someone's picking on you or picking at you. These things have serious consequences on the body. And then the body has also, obviously, you have a skeletal structure. So there's a certain weight that should be applied per ligament, per tendon, you know what I mean? So a lot of this stuff we really want to look into, and let us just do our best. The messenger always stresses, do the best that you can, and eat one meal a day. And we'll definitely see the benefits. And to all of those observing the national fast, continue on, and praise be to Allah. And wish you all success, and me as well. Assalamu alaikum.